Hey everyone, this is a redo of the MRA mapping hangout we did earlier today. For some reason, not everyone was able to join, so I thought I would do a quick broadcast of what was covered, just in case you couldn't make it. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so today we covered a few different topics. I'll just bring you to sort of a summary slide here. I covered who the Mountain Rescue Association is and why we are teaming up with the Mountain Rescue Association. The NAPSG Foundation is the National Alliance for Public Safety GIS Foundation, and we are a nonprofit organization that supports the mission of equipping emergency management and public safety agencies with tools like geographic information systems, decision support technology. Traditionally, while search and rescue is probably one of the most inherently spatial problems of public safety, we don't always do a good job of collecting spatial data and typically don't have a lot of geographic information system support or mapping support for our teams relative to other industries like wildland fire. So for this reason, NAPSG and the MRA have teamed up, and this is the first version of what we're calling the MRA Mapping Hangout. Today we covered the Mission Data Portal, which I'll show you briefly. We covered 2015 analyses of the data that was collected. And we have also covered a special topic called making a public map. If you do want more information about the MRA mapping platform, I'll just pull up a website here. We recently had a webcast in January that covers the basics of what the MRA mapping platform is. And you can find this through the Pigeon Mountain Industries, PMI, the sponsors, their media webinar series. So if you're a member of the MRA, you probably already have seen these. And this is where you can gain access to get a little more background that I won't get into today. But in 2015, we were able to collect a lot of information. Hold on, just making sure the Hangout's still going here. We're able to collect a lot more information than we have in the past. The reason is we have a mapping portal that is really a configuration of ArcGIS Online. And it allowed us to collect information on the number of incidents and, more importantly, where incidents or emissions are occurring. To take a quick look at the data, over 2,000 mission data points were collected. And we learned a lot about where rescues are taking place, or when rescues are taking place, and where. In 2015, the MRA has been involved in the rescue of over 2,500 people, more than half of which are male. The average mission has about 9 volunteers, but this adds up to over almost 90,000 volunteer hours for the organization. Through this dashboard interface, which I'll show you in a second, we can explore lots of different questions like, of all the missions, how many occur on National Park Service land? So we can see 72 missions occur on National Park Service land. We can also ask questions like the number of missions that involve aircraft. We can see here over 500 missions across the country involved aircraft. And lots of other stats, which team had the most rescues and where, which team had the largest response area. And of course, lots of other analyses such as, who lives in these areas where rescues are being made, and things like how much money do they spend on outerwear or how much time do they spend hiking. So we went through a lot of these analyses, and all of these can be accessed right through the MRA missions dashboard, which I'll show you here in a second. So from the home page, we have the 2015 data portal on the right. And when we open this up, we can see the MRA dashboard for 2015. And that's where all of these analyses are being shown. There are still teams entering missions through the geo form here, which I explained earlier in the webcast. Okay. The next thing we did is we covered the 2016 mission data portal. And I just want to show you a few key things to highlight here. One is there are 3 different forms. The first form is really about collecting simple mission statistics. This means missions that did not involve a search operation, did not involve multiple victims, something simple like a carryout or assisting a hiker out of an area during a storm. Then there's the long form, which is meant for search operations, complex incidents, and things like MCIs where there's multiple victims. The reason is, in particular for search operations, we want to collect a little more information about that particular search so we can learn more about search operations in general. This means that for search operations, there's a follow-up form called the found form, and I'll show you this on the MRA mapping platform. So if we go back to that home page, we can see here 2016 data, the 2016 data portal. When I click on this, you'll see here the short form, again, for simple missions, just has probably less than a minute's worth of questions. And you can plot the location using address, your location, or coordinate entry. We can also look at the long form, which has a few more questions, again, more specific to a search operation, such as the subject category and how the person was reported missing, etc. We also have the found location form, and this is used for follow-up after the person is found. You'll see detailed instructions here, but the most important thing on the found form is that the mission number matches the mission number entered on the enter a new mission form. Finally, you can also use the Edit Missions app. This allows you to go in and change missions that you already entered. So for instance, earlier today, I entered a mission on in Yosemite Valley. I can go in and use this editing tool to click on my incident and change some of the features that are in there. I just wanted to cover this in brief so you can see what you missed, and you can send more questions to the mramapping@gmail.com. But now I want to get into today's topic, which was making public maps. You'll see for this topic, I have created a short tutorial. This can be accessed at the bit.ly link MRA tutorial 1. And I've emailed this out to those of you that are subscribed to the mapping Hangout. The purpose of this tutorial is to give a brief explanation of how to make a public map using 2015 mission data. So let's get started. This tutorial assumes that you have an ArcGIS Online login for the MRA portal. Again, to sign into the MRA portal, you can do that from the arcgis.com homepage, or you can do that through the sign-in box on the upper right when you come to the MRA homepage. So again, arcgis.com is where you can sign in, or you can come to this homepage directly. Once you're signed in, the next step is to find this Map tab. And I want to open up a new map. For you, it'll default to this new map. I happen to be working on another map already. I mentioned to the members that it's helpful to use these tours when you open a new map. There's a tour here that will walk you through some of the basics of of this web map viewer. But for today, I really just wanted to focus on making a public map using the 2015 mission data. So the first step is to add a layer. I do this by clicking the yellow Add button and search for layers. I can search across all of ArcGIS Online or just my organization, which means the MRA mapping platform. And I can type in the search box and add a layer here. The layer I want to add is the 2015 mission data, which is set to be viewable by the public. And you'll see here, if I have any questions on what the data is and where it's coming from, I can click on the link and it explains here, this is a public layer for viewing the locations with limited details on 2015 missions. I'm going to go ahead and add that layer to my map. Again, I use the Add button, search for layers, typed in here 2015 public, and now I'm going to add that to my map. So you'll see here, this is a map of all of the missions for 2015. But let's say I want to make a map for just my team's missions. I can do that by going to the Details tab here, show the contents of the map, and that will bring up the Contents panel. This is where I can do things like you would see in Google Earth or a GIS, where I can check layers, turn layers on and off. I want to keep this layer on so it'll stay checked. And what I want to do next is show just the data for my team. So we'll pretend today that I'm a member of the Sierra Madre Search and Rescue team. I can go to the filter button here. That filter button opens up this filter menu. And for those of you that have used databases before, you'll know that what we're doing here is building a simple query. For those of you that don't often use databases, think of this as a search on your Gmail or your email, except for we're going to make it so that what we find only shows up on our map. So what I want to do is search by team. I can choose from a variety of fields, but here I will choose team. I want to search for where team is equal to my team. So my team is a unique field, and I can search for that using this drop-down menu, or I can begin to type it in. So you'll see team is equal to Sierra Madre. I want to apply the filter and zoom to that area. So you can see here, Sierra Madre responds everywhere from Yosemite National Park down to San Diego area. If I want to keep this view of the map for later, I can create a bookmark. Now I can always return to that view of the map. Very important, now that I've done some work on my map, is that I save it. So you can see here the little floppy disk, which almost always means save, even though in this case, we're not saving this to our computer. We're not saving it to a floppy disk for sure. We're saving it to our ArcGIS Online account. You can learn more about ArcGIS Online and where this goes in some of the links I've included in your tutorial. So I'll click on Save, Save As, and I'll give my map a name. Tags are important so that you can later on find this map. So I like to tag it with what this map is about. Sierra Madre, it includes missions. The missions are from 2015, and it's a map meant for the public. This will make it easier for me to find this map and categorize it along with other maps and apps I make in the future. The summary of the map should really just describe the purpose of this map. This way, anybody who comes across your map, or even you later on, know why this map was made. I'm going to go ahead and save this in a folder that I've already created in my content. You can learn more about my content later on, but just know that this is a folder within my cloud storage so that it makes it easier for me to find this later on. I'll now save my map. And I'll save my map pretty often just by coming back to this floppy disk and clicking save. You want to do this anytime you make a major change to your map so you don't lose your work. Okay, so now I have a map of just Sierra Madre. Maybe I want to focus in on a certain area. I want to focus on where most of my incidents occur. So I can do this by using these zoom tools. I can scroll in and out with my mouse wheel. Probably the easiest way to hone in on a specific area is to hold down the shift key and drag a box with my mouse. It just allows for a little more precise zooming in situations like this. I can, of course, come back here and create another bookmark. I'll call this Sierra Madre. Now I can toggle between these two bookmarks to help me navigate on my map. Bookmarks are really the extent or the view of what you're seeing on your map. Okay, so I've added a layer, I've filtered it, and I've saved my map. What I want to do next is give you a quick overview of how you can style the layer on your map. When I talk about style, what I'm referring to is the symbology. You can see here, again, in our details menu, in the contents panel, next to the filter tool is a tool called Change Style. Change Style allows me to view my data in a variety of different ways. This is one of the most basic functions of a GIS, except for we're doing it here on the web. Right now, I'm only showing the location of incidents, but I could show them by the category of incident. For instance, what type of incidents are we responding to? So if I choose that category, this will automatically categorize them and give them different colors based on the type of incident they are. You'll see here, looks like there's lots of rescues, although the blue dots show where there were actual search operations where we didn't know exactly where the victim was. I can further customize this and really provide any color or any shape I want by clicking on the little symbol and looking through the symbol library. I'm not going to go into detail on this today, but I did include a link that breaks this down for you in the tutorial. I can also take a look at this in forms in a way that helps me visualize my data. I can use a heat map, which shows areas of high activity with stronger colors that appear to glow hotter. Now, this is only useful if we've got lots of data spread out over an area, but you can see here, I can quickly understand most of my incidents or a lot of my incidents occur in this area. This is not some sort of complex statistical analysis. It's just going out and mapping the density of my area. This can further be customized with the tools here. But for now, I just want to show the points of where my rescues were located. So I'll go back up here and show location only. Again, I can change the type of symbol, the color of the symbol. I will change it to something really simple so it's easy for the eye to see. So I'll use simple circles. I'll give it a little bit of a white outline. I can even make it so the middle of the circles are slightly transparent, so if they overlap, we can see that. And I'll make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So that's how we access the style for the symbols on the map. Again, you'll notice I hit save often so I don't lose my work. So there's a few other features in here I wanted to show you. One of the most important ones is I can change the base map. So for those of you that are used to looking at topographic maps, those are all in here. Here's the standard USGS maps at all the scales you're used to, 1 to 24,000 shown here. There's a dark gray canvas map, which is useful for maps where I have lots of colors or categories I want people to see, but doesn't necessarily show the topographic detail. A simple base map of imagery with some labels to give you context. But for now, we'll go back just to that simple topographic map that we had before, because it shows terrain with a light background so we can still see our points. Whatever you choose, you can change later on, but how you save your map is how it will be shown. So now that we've customized our map, we're almost done. The most important thing we want to do now is share the map. To do this, there's a button up here that says share. And when I click on it, this menu opens. Now, we don't have time to cover all the different sharing options today, but because this map is meant for the public, I'm going to click the Everyone button. Until I click that, nobody outside of the MRA or even myself can see that map. Now I'm making it so everyone in the Mountain Rescue Association can see it. There is the ability to share with private groups for just people you're collaborating with, but we'll cover that in some of the later mapping Hangouts. The easiest way to share this map that's now public is to share a link to this map. So I can grab this, copy it, and paste it into an email. I can share it through Facebook or Twitter. And I have the option to share it so that the map's extent is honored, or it'll open up to whatever extent you save the map. What I wanted to show you today is for those of you that are working with a webmaster for your team, is you can actually embed this live map into your website. To do this, you click on the Embed in Website button, and now you have options to customize how you want this map to appear. It's a public audience, so I may want to give them just a few tools so they can turn on and off different base maps. A lot of people like to look at imagery like in Google Earth. I'll allow them to search, and I'll provide a legend for my map. There are other ways to customize this, but this should do it for now. I can now copy this HTML, this code, and without being a developer, I can provide this to a webmaster who can now customize this map or embed this map in their website. I'll show you what this looks like. I'm not a developer and I'm not a webmaster for a website, but I can pretty easily do this with my blog here, the ArcGIS blog. So I wanted to be able to put this live map inside my blog. I would go to my blog post, click on the little HTML tool, and I can now copy and paste this code into the map. Now when I go to view that blog after it's published, I can see I have a live interactive map that embeds pretty nicely right into my site. So a lot of teams are talking about doing this to show either the people who live in their area, where they're finding people in trouble, where are some of the more common rescues, or it can be used to work with different fundraising entities. Maybe you want to go to your local outing store and show them, this is the good work that our search and rescue teams do. And we wanted to show you we're active in some of the same areas where your customers recreate. There is a lot more we could do with this, but I just wanted to show you a simple public map and how to embed it in a website today. In future Hangouts, we'll talk a little bit more about how this web map is used to power applications. Power applications like the GeoForm, the form that you're using to enter data, the operations dashboard, the custom web mapping application. And there's even applications that are really meant for sharing a map publicly. You'll see here there's a whole category just for public information maps. And there's one map in particular that works well for sharing public information. And so now, rather than sharing a web viewer with a lot of tools, we can share a really simplified view of this map that's responsive and works on all devices. We'll cover that in future weeks, but I wanted to show you the capability today. Again, those steps are outlined for you with links for more information in the MRA tutorial 1, which I've shared with the Mapping Hangout group. There's lots more mapping training out there, both from Esri on the ArcGIS Online Help documentation. There is actually a Getting Started with GIS course, which is free. And there's also NAPSG resources, which are specific to public safety and GIS. Next month, we will cover some similar topics. We'll show you how to make some basic web mapping applications from your web map. But we'll have a guest speaker to talk a little bit about cell phone data and mapping. For those of you that don't know, in search and rescue search operations now, almost all missing people have a cell phone with them, but it's not always clear how we can use that piece of information to find them. There are lots of nuances between different cell phone or different mobile devices and different mobile carriers that lead to potentially making mistakes when we go to look for missing people based off of inaccuracies that we may not be aware of. So the next month, March 8th, we'll cover cell phone data mapping in the Mapping Hangout, along with some other uses of the MRA mapping platform. That was a quick overview of what was covered today. I just wanted to make up for the fact that some people couldn't make it into the Hangout before, and we're just trying out this live broadcast to see if it works. That's all I have for this week, and hopefully I'll be able to share this with all of you who couldn't make it. Thank you.